welcome to the first real and official Chats with Chad. Going today to talk to you guys a little bit about the world of Sawyer Shepherd Chronicles, kind of pull back the curtain and show you a few of the things that go on behind the scenes. And today's behind the scenes discussion, we're going to talk to you about music. So if you have ever written a book or read a book, maybe there is a song or a soundtrack that is in your head, things that are playing in the background, things that are showing you kind of where things are going in that book. I remember I have some strange soundtracks. I remember some of the songs that fit with certain books that I read at formative ages. A lot of Jars of Clay albums in the 90s that really kind of played along well with some Stephen King novels I read. Totally different worlds, but it inspired kind of the thought process of what I was going through there. The Sawyer Shepherd Chronicles, it's no different. When I sat down to write, there were definitely some songs that sort of informed character decisions, that informed action scenes. It's a big part of my writing. It always has been. I love music. I cannot play music, but I enjoy and appreciate it. And one of the things that's really cool is that when you get to write a story, like this past Christmas, I wrote a story set to Carol of the Bells. It's a Sawyer Shepherd story, a Krampus story, kind of in between book 1 and book 2 of the series. And it was just something I've always wanted to do, to write a scene set to that music. And it was so much fun to sit down and just play that song on loop while I was going through and get things ready. And that's not exactly how I write these songs in, but there are some songs that get explicitly mentioned in Sawyer Shepherd, and they're call outs either to inspirations or to maybe some source text, some things that I got inspiration from when writing the book. So the first one I want to talk to you guys about is actually a very classic song. Classic rock is a big part of Sawyer Shepherd's world. He's an 18-year-old kid. He drives a muscle car in the mountains. He's definitely got some influence from those brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester, over on Supernatural. And with that, one of his inspirations when it comes to music is he likes the classic rock. He likes classic rock and alternative. He may have a little bit more diverse taste, say, than Dean does. He branches a little further out than those cassettes in the car, but he does definitely have a lot of interest in that classic rock genre. And there's no more Supernatural song, I think, that you can talk about than Carry On Wayward Son. It is an amazing song on its own right. Definitely now gets connected to, that started before it should have. Definitely gets connected to the lore of a monster hunting team. And so it definitely applies here. But on a deeper level, Carry On Wayward Son is a powerful song for Sawyer Shepherd too. Sawyer is a kid who is trying to figure out his place in the world. He is definitely not following the typical path that an 18-year-old would, and he's, in the eyes of many, he's running away from his issues. Our Carry On Wayward Son storyline from Kansas is definitely in line with that. Also, Sawyer's going to try some things that may not fail. He's going to dream big at times in the story. I mean, he's going to try to take on monsters and do things that an unseasoned 18-year-old kid fighting monsters for the first time shouldn't, and they may or may not fail. And so that really, to me, is a theme that I see in Wayward Son is that it's definitely about a kid who's kind of gone off the path, maybe in some cases taking risks he shouldn't, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it also is a song about destiny, and destiny is going to be a recurring theme in Sawyer Shepherd's journey in all 5 books, and perhaps even beyond. We'll see where that goes. But here's a little bit of Carry On Wayward Son for you.
Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
That right there, I think, is no greater way to start the story, and that's where it does. If you've read Rites of Passage, you know that as Sawyer is coming into the valley where Sage City rests, cresting the mountains, looking out as the sun is rising. This is the song that's on his radio, or at least we reference that. So again, I don't own the rights to the song, so I just want to share a little snippet of that and share kind of how it informs the story. That song has been with me for a long time. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. And the next song that inspires Sawyer Shepherd is also a song that's been with me for a long time. I am a massive Switchfoot fan. I have been since around 2001 when I first discovered them. Their Learning to Breathe album. And on Learning to Breathe was maybe their signature song. At least it's their probably most well-known song. Dare You to Move is a great song that got used in a romantic young adult movie, Walk to Remember, 20-something years ago. But it's really a song that I think fits Sawyer Shepherd's journey. It's the story of a kid who is in many ways trying to move on from being punched out in a boxing match. I mean, he has been hit, he's been knocked down, and he's looking at the world and going, do I get up? And if I get up, how do I get back up? How do I move forward in this world and try to find his own place? So Dare You to Move is about that. I mean, there's lots of lyrics in here that kind of play into that idea of is a person on a journey who is exposing something, sharing something of themselves to the world, and maybe the world doesn't react well to it. And I think that's, as a writer, that speaks to me, because there's definitely this idea that we throw things into the world. We create something that is definitely a part of us, and we give it to people. And some people are going to say, man, that's amazing, that's great, and our ego is going to swell. And we have to be careful with that. But other people are going to say, that's crap, and I hate that. And we have to deal with that as well. Our ego gets bruised or elevated way too easily as human beings. And I think that's kind of the message of Dare You to Move to me as a writer. But here's a little bit of it that I think inspires some of Sawyer's story.
The tension is here. The tension is here. It's between who you are and who you could be. It's between how it is, how it's always been, and how it should be. Yeah. I dare you to move. I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move. I dare you to move. Prove like today never happened. Today never happened.
And that's it. It's this tension. Sawyer Shepherd is living in a world of tension. There is a tension between the reality that he knows and the reality that's the reality, what's actually going on around him. And he is spending a lot of rites of passage in that tension, trying to come to grips with that. But he's also spending his entire journey with this sort of tension between what he should be doing at his age and at his station in life, and what is being thrust upon him by destiny. I think Dare You to Move is a song about destiny. It's about embracing your destiny, even if that destiny has a horrific plot line or a terrible ending potentially in store. And I think that's something that it really speaks to me with that song. Speaking of destiny, that's another part of it, I think, of Sawyer's story is destiny. He is destined for something, and what it is, he doesn't really know necessarily. And so with that, I think that the element of that he was born to do this thing that he's having to do, but knew nothing about. When he begins to discover that he's a part of a long line of things, I think that speaks a lot to it. And so I came across this song not too long ago. It's actually an alternative song. It's called Born for This by a group called The Score. This song is just kind of a very different feel. I envision this kind of being the final song that plays. Like if this were a movie, if Sawyer Shepherd Chronicles Rites of Passage were a movie, this is the credit rolling song. So give you a little snippet of Born for This by The Score.
I'm checking my vital signs, drawing my battle lines, going to war again. Feeling the rhythm inside of my chest, all I need is just a pen. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. Don't care for the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story. I believe we can be an army.
And I think it's a really cool song. Got it on iTunes. Definitely recommend it. And it basically goes into this idea of I have this destiny. I have this thing that I was born to do. So that's kind of giving you some of the songs that really goes into Sawyer Shepherd Chronicles Rites of Passage. But I also want to give you a little bit of a tease for what's coming up. as we move forward into Red Hand Rising, which Red Hand Rising is book 2. It's going to be coming out here later this summer. Super excited. It's really going to expand the world. We spent a lot of time, we were very isolated in Sage City. We kept the storyline right there in that small town in Colorado in the mountains for book 1. But now we are moving into a much broader world, and we're going to kind of cross the country a little bit. We're going to be in a couple different states. We're actually going to start off in Tennessee. The book will open up, and this will be the song that is playing through Sawyer's mind as he and Mandy are facing something down. This song is actually another classic rock throwback song. Also featured on Supernatural at one point. I can't remember exactly what episode, but it's a great song for when you're being chased down. It's Run Through the Jungle by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
So true. They told me don't go walking slow. The devil's on the loose. Better run through the jungle. Better run through the jungle. Better run through the jungle. Oh, don't look back.
So really liking that one for the simple fact that it is throwing around a plot thread that we dropped in book 1. The theory that Eli Romer comes up with that Lucifer is walking the earth, and that plot thread is left dangling a bit at the end of book 1. And Red Hand Rising is going to answer that question. Is Lucifer walking the earth? And if so, where is he? What is he up to? And so we're going to definitely get an insight into that. And you know, if you've read the entirety of Red Hand Rising, or excuse me, Rites of Passage, you know that it ends with an end credit teaser. I'm stealing from the Marvel movies on this one, but I'm going to have end credit teasers at the end of all of my books. So don't stop reading. Go past until you find end credit scene and read that. That is definitely teasers setting up some action for the next series of books, for the next book. And so really, with Red Hand Rising, we're going to have them running through the jungle, chasing a monster of the week kind of thing, but really asking that question of, are we being pursued by a much darker and deeper evil? One last song, I'm going to give you a bonus. I didn't think about this one when I first was going to close things up, but Mandy Jane is the name of our female hero. And honestly, there's a couple of songs that I could have drawn from, and this is not, I did not draw from Barry Manilow's Mandy, regardless of whether it's about a dog or not, you know, that urban legend. But I went for, again, another classic rock, and I went with Boston's Amanda.
I'm gonna take you by surprise and make you realize, Amanda. I'm gonna tell you right away, I can't wait another day, Amanda. I'm gonna say it like a man and make you understand, Amanda. I love you.
But that's the cliffhanger. You know, does Sawyer know what he feels for Mandy, and will he ever act on that? Definitely a thing that, you know, we left at the end of Rites of Passage with that question mark hanging. Want to explore that relationship. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think those two characters are going to be fun to write, and definitely in writing some of the short stories, and I could say writing their interactions in book 1, but also in Red Hand Rising, like always a lot of fun to write their rapport and see how those two work together. So anyway, that's really it for today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the music. I'm hoping to do some more chats with Chad with more background stuff and discuss writing, but also want to throw out there, do you guys write to music? If you're a writer, what soundtrack informs your books? But also I wanted to kind of say, hey, you know, what do you think? Like, if you're a reader, do you have a soundtrack in your head when you're reading a book? And if so, what are some of the songs that you just ascribe to different books and characters? Lots of information down below. Feel free to follow this page, subscribe here to Chad Lehrman Author here on YouTube. Chat the Chat will be a semi-regular thing we do. And then also you can follow on Instagram at Chad Lehrman Author, or on Twitter at Chad Lehrman. I like to keep things similar because my website is also chadlehrman.com. What's great about the website is that I've mentioned some short stories that I've written in the Sawyer Shepherd universe. That's where you find them. So those links will be down there. Also links as far as where you can buy Rites of Passage or pre-order Red Hand Rising. So again, Rites of Passage is out right now on Amazon Kindle, paperback and Kindle Unlimited, and Red Hand Rising is out for pre-order. Should be releasing by August 4th. I may actually bump that up or back, kind of depending upon the situation. Waiting on a few things to fall through and just kind of seeing how the world handles as we begin to open back up from stay-at-home stuff. So hope everybody enjoyed this. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next chapter.